Hi, this is Kelly from paperbeadrollers.com, and today we're talking about one of the most annoying issues that you run into when you're rolling paper beads: white edges. Now, you know what I'm talking about. You find a paper pack, it's gorgeous. You just know that this is going to make the absolute best beads ever, and then you realize white edges. So when a paper has a white core and they put the pattern on top of that white and you cut the strips, you're going to see these white edges and they look horrible. They'll ruin a beautiful bead. Well, I've got a solution and it's coming up right now.
Some of the best pattern papers out there are made with a process where the colored surface of the paper is printed or otherwise applied onto a white sheet of paper. Now, with a lot of paper crafts, that doesn't matter because you don't really see the edge. But with paper beads, the edge is completely exposed like this. It can ruin the look of a bead. I've tried a lot of methods for coloring that white edge, but this one method creates the most polished, finished look so far. My secret to beating the white edge is metallic ink pads. This is the brand that I use the most. It's called Delicata, and it's a very popular brand of metallic ink. Now, you can usually find these in full-size pads at the chain craft stores. However, I was able to get my hands on a bunch of these 4 sets of mini pads for you. I've popped them into the shop at paperbeadrollers.com so you can grab one while they last. I like the 4-pack because coloring the edges of the strips does not take a ton of ink. You really don't need a full-size pad for this. And this contains 4 colors. It's got a lighter and a darker gold, silver, and copper. So you've got 4 options in one set. The next obvious question is, will non-metallic ink pads work too? Because wouldn't it be great if you could color the white edges to match the most dominant color in the pattern? Yes, it absolutely would. However, in my experiments with this, I have not had much luck. Non-metallic ink pads seem to be a bit too juicy and the ink gets wicked up into the paper and starts discoloring on the pattern. Or I've had it make the edges kind of expand or puff out with the liquid and it looks awful. One other method I've been successful with is using sharpies on the edge. So if you want to buy a huge set of sharpies so you can have different colors, that can work too. However, I have found it to be a little more time consuming, and the edges of the paper destroy the tips on the sharpies pretty quickly, so they end up frayed and useless. Here's how you apply the ink from the Delicata pads to the edges of your paper. Lightly run the side of the strip over the top of the pad. Now make sure that you don't press the strip into the pad too hard, or you may get ink on the pattern side of the page. You may also damage the pad itself, kind of like giving yourself a paper cut, but on the ink pad. All you need is a very light touch. Now you might get a little bit of ink on your fingers, however, this metallic ink doesn't stain, so it washes right off. If you're very concerned about it, you can grab your jewelry pliers and use them to hold the strip so that your fingers don't get too messy. Now let's see the results. Here's the bead with the gold edges. And here's a bead from the same paper and I did nothing to the edges. That's a big difference. This technique can take a bead that looks a bit rough and make it look smooth and polished. If you loved this trick, you'll love the other videos on my channel, so why don't you subscribe? Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. I'd love to see you back here. If you have other tricks for coloring the edges of your white core paper, please leave it in the comments. I learn things from viewers on every video, and I'd love to hear what tricks you've got in your crafty arsenal. See you next time!